Hello everyone, my name is Tamir Moore, live from my home studio here in Collindale, Pennsylvania. It is great to be back with you. Well, here we go again. It's almost time for the start of the 2020 NFL season. It'll be another exciting season as the National Football League begins their 101st season of operation. However, this will not be a normal season under any circumstances. Due to the ongoing pandemic, this season will employ several noteworthy changes. For example, at most NFL stadiums across the league, no fans will be permitted to enter and attend games to start the season, including the Arizona Cardinals, the Atlanta Falcons, the Baltimore Ravens, the Buffalo Bills, the Carolina Panthers, the Denver Broncos, the Detroit Lions, the Green Bay Packers, and the Philadelphia Eagles, among other teams. In addition, sideline reporters and on-field entertainment will be banned for the season. Instead, sideline reporters will be reporting from the stands or other stadium locations that they will be given complete access to. Plus, the NFL kickoff weekend will be the first time that any one of the NFL 32 teams will be playing in live game action. Due to the pandemic, the Hall of Fame game and sequestered preseason games were canceled. Training camp was extended in most instances in order to make up for the lost time. In addition, the NFL suspended any international series game to limit travel. Several NFL players have opted out of this upcoming NFL season, including Philadelphia Eagles wide receiver Marquise Goodwin, Chiefs running back Damian Williams, New England Patriots safety Patrick Chung, and many, many more. So far, the NFL has maintained a business as usual approach. We'll see how long this will hold up. Again, my name is Tamir Moore, welcoming you to our 2020 NFL season preview show. Thank you so much for being with us. All right, we will cover several top storylines throughout the show this evening. Now, let's move on to my Week 1 broadcast of Tampa Bay and New Orleans. Next Sunday, I begin my NFL schedule with a big matchup between Tampa Bay and New Orleans. This Buccaneers and Saints matchup will be the first broadcast of Fox's America's Game of the Week program. Tampa Bay at New Orleans has been highly anticipated for several months now because of the main storyline draped over this contest. First is two longtime NFC South rivals going at it. Remember, NFC South teams do not get too many big doubleheader slots like the 425 national game too often, so Tampa Bay and New Orleans will be spotlighted right away. Obviously, this will be the first of two matchups between Tom Brady and Drew Brees. Brady and Brees' longevity should be appreciated. Two players that have been at the top of their game for a very long time. Tampa Bay has missed the playoff each season since 2008. New Orleans has been in the last three postseasons, 2017, 2018, and 2019. Now, the Saints lost to the Vikings in the 2017 NFC Divisional Playoff, better known to many people as the Minneapolis Miracle, when Stephon Diggs had to walk off 61-yard touchdown to give Minnesota an exciting win. And in last season's NFC wildcard game, in which Kirk Cousins led Minnesota on a game-winning touchdown drive in overtime. In 2018, the Saints lost that year's NFC Championship game to the Los Angeles Rams. This marked the first time that Tom Brady will not be a New England Patriot. In addition, this will be Brady's first game as a member of the National Football Conference. So obviously switching conferences, switching teams, big deal, and we'll be there to cover it right from the jump. Tampa Bay, as you know, is expected to be a serious contender in the National Football Conference due to Tom Brady's arrival. In addition, Rob Gronkowski, following last season's stint as a broadcast commentator for us here at Fox, he returned to the football field this year with the Buccaneers. We will see if the Brady-Bronk connection continues to lead to success in Tampa Bay, just like in the New England days. Tom Brady needs just 16 starts to surpass Brett Favre, 298 games, for the most games started by a quarterback in NFL history. Brady also needs 2 games with at least 300 passing yards to surpass Peyton Manning, 93 games, for the second most such games in NFL history, trailing only Drew Brees 120. With 8 games with at least 3 touchdown passes, Brady would surpass Drew Brees and Peyton Manning 93 games for the most such games in NFL history. Brady needs just one more Pro Bowl to surpass our Fox colleague here, Tony Gonzalez, the former Chief and Falcon. Peyton Manning 14. Gonzalez also had 14 Pro Bowl appearances. Bruce Matthews 14 and Merlin Olsen 14 for the most Pro Bowl berths in NFL history. A couple other players to keep in mind for the Buccaneers is linebackers Jason Pierre-Paul and Shaquille Barrett. Barrett led the NFL last year in 2019 with 19.5 sacks. For Tampa Bay, their main question is, can head coach Bruce Arians coach this new-look squad? Remember, Bruce is a quarterback-friendly coach. Examples of quarterback that he's had the great opportunity to mentor over the years include Ben Roethlisberger in Pittsburgh, Carson Palmer in Arizona, and Andrew Luck during his rookie season in Indianapolis. Now, as far as the Saints are concerned, of course, you know they have quarterback Drew Brees and wide receiver Michael Thomas. Thomas last season set the new single-season reception record with 149, ranking former Colts wide receiver Marvin Harrison's almost 2-decade mark of 144. The Saints have won the last 3 NFC South titles. Emmanuel Sanders joined this team as the prolific second wide receiver option behind Michael Thomas. Sanders enters his 11th NFL season and first in New Orleans. Sanders has previously played with the Steelers, Broncos, and 49ers in 10 NFL seasons. Saints quarterback Drew Brees needs 10 starts to become the third quarterback in NFL history to start 300 games, including the postseason, joining Tom Brady 324 games and Brett Favre 322 games. Brees also needs 25 touchdown passes to join Peyton Manning's 16 seasons as the only players in NFL history to have at least 15 seasons with at least 25 touchdown passes. Brees needs one game with at least 2 touchdown passes to surpass Peyton Manning 165 games, for the second most such games in NFL history, trailing only Tom Brady 173. With one game with at least 3 touchdown passes, Brees will surpass Peyton Manning 93 games for the most such games in NFL history. Brees needs one game with a passer rating of 125 or higher to surpass Peyton Manning 50 games for the most such games in NFL history. The Buccaneers have an all-time record of 18-26 on kickoff weekend. The Saints have an all-time record of 18-35 on the first weekend of the NFL season. Since the NFL had its current 32-team alignment back in 2002, Tampa Bay has had 3 playoff berths to go along with 3 division titles, including a Super Bowl win in the 2002 NFL season. Since 2002, the Saints have been into the playoffs 8 times, with 6 division titles and 1 Super Bowl appearance in that span. Alright, let's cover some of the top storylines across the league. Okay, there are several top storylines across the National Football League this season. This third segment of 4, because we covered our welcome message in our first segment, our second segment covered Week 1 Tampa Bay and New Orleans. This first segment will cover the top storylines across the NFL landscape, and our fourth segment will be our close. So our preview show is actually entering the back 9. Let's dig in. First, the NFL playoffs will expand from 12 to 14 teams this season. This was completed because during the offseason, NFL players were able to ratify a collective bargaining agreement. A new one, that is. An extra wildcard game will be added in each league. I do apologize if the video occasionally freezes. Just bear with me here because I don't use my computer to record video very often. I typically use my phone, but I just don't want to record on my phone and take a lot of gigabyte room. Next, there are 5 new head coaches in the league this year. Matt Rule in Carolina is our first one. Matt Rule, as you know, plenty of head coaching experience in college, right? He was with Temple. He was able to turn the Temple football team around. And then most recently, he was the head coach at Baylor. He turned that team around. Next, Kevin Stefanski, the new head coach in Cleveland. Most recently, he served as the offensive coordinator in Minnesota. Mike McCarthy, that's a very familiar name, isn't it? Because many of you know that Mike was formerly the longtime head coach, of course, in Green Bay. Spent basically 13 years there, guiding Green Bay to several playoff appearances, one Super Bowl appearance back in the 2010 season when they beat Pittsburgh in Super Bowl 45. Mike McCarthy was off the coaching beat last year, but Mike McCarthy, he is thrilled, he is happy to be back in the coaching ranks. Joe Judge, who spent the last several seasons in the New England organization, gets his first shot to be a head coach as new head coach of the Giants. And Ron Rivera, who was, of course, a longtime head coach in Carolina, is now the new man in charge of the Washington football team, no longer named the Washington Redskins. They went under a offseason name change. And we send our thoughts and prayers right now to Ron Rivera, who's currently dealing with cancer at the moment. Coach Rivera, we wish you all the best, and we just can't wait to see you on the sidelines when you feel like it as the season progresses. Now, there were a flurry of moves in the offseason. Several key players switched locations from one team to the next. Of course, this list is very extensive, but for the purposes of time, let's highlight some of the key names. Running back Todd Gurley moved from the Rams to the Falcons. Quarterback Josh Norman, moved from Washington to Buffalo. Quarterback Cam Newton moved from Carolina to New England. As you know, of course, Cam Newton's tenure at Carolina did not end well at all. Inconsistency, injuries, pretty much forced Cam Newton to exit stage right. But congratulations, because this week Cam Newton was named Bill Belichick's starter for Week 1 for the Patriots when they host Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins. Tight end Eric Ebron moved from the Colts to the Steelers. Running back Melvin Gordon stays in the AFC West, moved from Denver to the LA Chargers. Wide receiver Stephon Diggs moved from Minnesota to Buffalo. Cornerback Malcolm Jenkins moved from the Philadelphia Eagles back to his alma mater, the New Orleans Saints, the team in which Malcolm started his NFL career with. And he was part of that Super Bowl 44 successful New Orleans team that beat the Indianapolis Colts back in the 2009 season. DeAndre Hopkins moved from Houston to Arizona. Wide receiver Robbie Anderson moved from the Jets to Carolina. Of course, the Tom Brady move. Randall Cobb moved from Dallas to Houston. Linebacker Dante Fowler moved from the Rams to Atlanta, the same trajectory that Todd Gurley went to. And quarterback Jameis Winston stays in the NFC South. Pretty much gets kicked out of Tampa Bay with Tom Brady coming in. He will be the backup in New Orleans to Drew Brees and Taysom Hill. The NFL will be celebrating its 100th anniversary during Week 2 NFL action from September 17th through September 23rd. The NFL was founded on August 20th, 1920 in Canton, Ohio. If Canton, Ohio sounds familiar, it should be, because that's where each NFL preseason begins. Of course, every year, that's where the Hall of Fame game is. That's when, of course, that is the city, I should say, that each year class of Hall of Fame inductees get inducted. Obviously, this year, because of COVID, the Hall of Fame game and the enshrinement had to get called off. They're going to try to make up the Dallas Steelers Hall of Fame game next year. And next year, the inductees that were scheduled this year, along with next year's class, will be inducted at the same time. So next year's enshrinement ceremony should be extra special. The Los Angeles Rams, the Los Angeles Chargers, and the Las Vegas Raiders will have new stadiums to open up this season. The Rams open up SoFi Stadium in Week 1 during Sunday Night Football against Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, Michael Gallup, rookie CeeDee Lamb, and the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday, September 13th, next Sunday on NBC. The LA Chargers open up SoFi Stadium in Week 2 where they host the Cheetah, Tyreek Hill, and the Kansas City Chiefs. and Patrick Mahomes and crew on Sunday, September 20th at 4:25 p.m. Eastern on CBS. The Las Vegas Raiders open up Allegiant Stadium in Week 2 as well, when they host Michael Thomas, Drew Brees, and the aforementioned New Orleans Saints on Monday, September 21st at 8:15 p.m. Eastern on ESPN and ABC. September 21st, 2020 is significant because that marked the 50th anniversary of the first ever Monday Night Football game that was played back on September 21st, 1970, when the Cleveland Browns defeated the visiting New York Jets 31-21 at Old Cleveland Municipal Stadium. The late Keith Jackson, Howard Cosell, and Don Meredith called that first ever Monday Night Football game. Saints Raiders will be ABC's first regular season NFL game since the last season ABC had the Monday Night Football package prior to its move to ESPN back in 2005. Several key players to watch this season are as follows. Let's start with Viking quarterback Kirk Cousins. Kirk needs 893 passing yards in his first 3 games of the 2020 season to become the first fastest player, 96 career games, to reach 25,000 career passing yards in NFL history, behind current Lions quarterback Matthew Stafford 90 games, and of course the Hall of Famer, former longtime Dolphins quarterback Dan Marino, 92 games. Rams defensive end Aaron Donald needs 8 sacks to become the 4th player since 1982, when the individual sack became an official statistic, to record at least 8 sacks in each of his first 7 seasons. Donald also needs 13 sacks to become the 4th player since 1982 to record at least 85 sacks in his first 7 seasons. Jordan the late Reggie Light, 110, DeMarcus Ware, 99.5, and Derek Thomas, 85. Donald has 72 sacks in 94 career games. Chargers running back Austin Eckler needs at least 953 scrimmage yards to become the 3rd undrafted player in the common draft era since 1967 who have at least 4,000 scrimmage yards in his first 4 seasons, joining Adrian Foster, 6,052, and Willie Parker, 4,818. Eckler has 3,047 scrimmage yards in his first 3 years. Cowboys running back Ezekiel Elliott needs at least 1,300 rushing yards to become the 8th player with at least 1,300 rushing yards in 4 of their first 5 seasons in NFL history. Elliott also needs 1,523 yards from scrimmage to surpass Chris Johnson, 8,546, for the 5th most yards from scrimmage for a player's first 5 seasons in league history. Eagles tight end Zach Ertz needs 93 receptions to surpass Jason Witten, who we'll talk about later on, 617, for the most receptions by a tight end in his first 8 NFL seasons. Tampa Bay wide receiver Mike Evans needs 1,000 receiving yards to become the first player in NFL history to begin his career with 7 consecutive 1,000-yard receiving seasons. Cardinals wide receiver Larry Fitzgerald needs 22 receptions for 1,400 career receptions, trailing only Jerry Rice, 1,549, for the most in NFL history. In 250 career games with Arizona, Larry Fitzgerald, who enters his 17th season in his first 16 years, he has compiled 1,378 career receptions. Fitzgerald also needs 9 touchdown receptions to surpass Marvin Harrison, who we talked about earlier, with Michael Thomas, 128, for the 5th most touchdown receptions in NFL history. Fitzgerald has 120 receiving touchdowns in 16 career seasons. Fitzgerald needs 1,000 receiving yards to become the 3rd player in NFL history with 10 career 1,000-yard seasons, joining Jerry Rice 14 and Randy Moss 10. Buccaneer tight end Rob Gronkowski needs 139 receiving yards to reach 8,000 career receiving yards. Jordan Jason Witten, 8,948 receiving yards. Tony Gonzalez, 8,710 receiving yards. And Chargers legend, of course, Antonio Gates, 8,000 rather. Sorry, I read that wrong. 8,321 receiving yards at the only tight end with at least 8,000 receiving yards in their first 10 seasons. Gronkowski also needs 1,000 receiving yards to become the first tight end in NFL history with 5 career 1,000-yard seasons. Gronkowski needs 976 receiving yards to become the 5th tight end in NFL history with 10,000 career receiving yards, including postseason. With 9 receiving touchdowns, he will become the 3rd tight end in NFL history with 100 career receiving touchdowns, including the postseason. Gronkowski needs 4 games with at least 100 receiving yards to surpass Tony Gonzalez, 31 games for the most such games by a tight end in NFL history. Newly acquired Falcons running back Todd Gurley needs 12 total touchdowns to surpass Browns legend Jim Brown, 81, for the 5th most total touchdowns through a player's first 6 seasons in NFL history. Gurley also needs 10 rushing touchdowns to become the 7th player with at least 10 rushing touchdowns in 5 of their first 6 seasons in NFL history. Titans running back Derrick Henry, who had a sensational 2019 season, including being an absolute bulldog during Tennessee's deep playoff run, which culminated in them going to the AFC Championship game before ultimately losing to Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. Needs 1,500 rushing yards and 15 rushing touchdowns to become the 4th player in NFL history to accomplish the feat in consecutive seasons. Derrick also needs 2 games with at least 200 rushing yards to become the 3rd player in NFL history with 4 such games in his first 5 seasons. Newly acquired Cardinals wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins needs 68 receptions to become the 5th player in NFL history with 700 receptions in his first 8 seasons. Hopkins has had 632 receptions in his 110 career games. DeAndre also needs at least 1,300 receiving yards and 10 touchdown receptions to become the 5th player in NFL history with 4 such seasons. Hopkins reached those marks during the 2015, 2017, and 2018 seasons as a member of the Houston Texans. Hopkins needs 800 receiving yards to become the 3rd player in NFL history with at least 800 receiving yards in his first 8 seasons, joining Jerry Clark and Jerry Rice. Danielle Hunter of Minnesota conjoining the late, great Reggie White, 1986 through 88, and 1990 through 92, and Vikings legend Jared Allen from 2007 through 2009 as the only player with at least 14 sacks in 3 consecutive seasons since 1982 when the individual sack became an official NFL statistic. Hunter recorded 14.5 sacks in each of the last 2 years. Last season's NFL MVP, Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson, who was also the cover athlete of this year's Madden NFL 21 game. Let me show you. Y'all see that? Lamar Jackson, my boy. Congratulations, Lamar, on your selection to be this year's Madden cover athlete. Well deserved. Lamar needs 132 rushing yards to surpass former Panthers quarterback and now Patriots quarterback Cam Newton, 2,032 yards, for the most rushing yards by a quarterback in their first 3 seasons in NFL history. Jackson also needs 4 games with at least 100 rushing yards to tie our colleague here at Fox and former Falcons and Eagles quarterback Michael Vick, 10 games, for the most such games by a quarterback in NFL history. With 672 passing yards and 599 rushing yards, Lamar will become the first player in NFL history through his first 3 seasons with at least 5,000 passing yards and 2,500 rushing yards. Arizona Cardinals linebacker Chandler Jones needs 21.5 sacks to surpass Jared Allen, 117, and DeMarcus Ware also with 117 for the second most sacked by a player in his first 9 NFL seasons since 1982, when the individual sack became an official NFL statistic. Reggie Wright had 137 sacks in his first 9 NFL seasons. Jones also needs 17 sacks to become the first player since 1982 with 3 career seasons of at least 17 sacks. Jones had 17 sacks in 2017 and 19 sacks last season. Falcons wide receiver Julio Jones needs 1,151 receiving yards to surpass Hall of Famer Jerry Rice's 13,275 yards for the most receiving yards for a player's first 10 seasons in NFL history. And yes, Julio Jones did go to Alabama, like Josh Jacobs, like Derrick Henry. We can go on with that. Jones could also become the first player with at least 1,250 receiving yards in 7 consecutive NFL seasons. Jones needs at least 100 receptions and 1,500 receiving yards to become the first player to reach those marks in 4 different seasons in NFL history. Also had Calvin Ridley. He went to Alabama as well, the young Falcons wide receiver. Saints running back Alvin Kamara, who has bursted onto the scene the last couple of seasons. Alvin needs at least 500 rushing yards and 500 receiving yards in order for him to become the first player in NFL history to have at least 500 rushing and receiving yards in each of his first 4 NFL seasons. Kamara also needs 92 rushing yards and 432 receiving yards to join former 49ers player Roger Craig and Panthers running back Christian McCaffrey as the only players with at least 2,500 rushing and 2,500 receiving yards in their first 4 seasons in NFL history. If Kamara reaches 3,000 rushing yards, he will join Craig as the only players with at least 3,000 rushing yards and 2,500 receiving yards in their first 4 seasons. Kamara entered 2020 with 2,400 rushing yards and 2,068 receiving yards. And believe me, I have nearly 10 pages. You see this right here? Literally, we got 10 pages worth of notes here. And I think we're midway through the note that I have for the show tonight. Okay, this is our 5th page. We still got a long way to go. Chief tight end Travis Kelce needs 93 receptions to become the second tight end with at least 600 receptions in his first 8 seasons. Jordy Jason Witten, 617. Kelce also needs 535 receiving yards to become the third tight end in NFL history with at least 7,000 receiving yards in his first 8 NFL seasons, joining Rock Gronkowski 7,179 and Antonio Gates with 7,005 receiving yards. Kelce has 6,465 receiving yards in 96 career games. Kelce needs 1,000 receiving yards to become the first tight end in NFL history with 5 career seasons of at least 1,000 receiving yards. Kelce had at least 1,000 receiving yards in each of the past 4 seasons. Kelce needs 90 receptions to become the first NFL tight end in history to record at least 90 receptions in 3 consecutive seasons. Travis had 103 receptions in 2018 and 97 receptions in 2019. Lineman Ryan Kerrigan of the Washington football team needs 5 sacks to become the 9th player to record at least 5 sacks in each of his first 10 NFL seasons since 1982, where again, the individual sack became an official league statistic. Kerrigan also needed at least 5 sacks and 1 forced fumble to join Chiefs legend Derek Thomas as the only player since 1982 to do so in each of their first 10 seasons. 49er tight end George Kittle, who had a sensational 2019 season. Believe me, George Kittle, he is a guy that is making waves. And George Kittle, I like the path that he's going on. Stardom is within his grasp. He played collegiately at Iowa, and he's becoming a fan favorite. If you watch the 49ers and you listen to the 49ers regularly, you know who I'm talking about. He needs 919 receiving yards to surpass Jimmy Graham, 3,863 for the most receiving yards by a tight end in the first 4 NFL seasons in league history. Kittle has 2,495 receiving yards in 45 career games. Kittle also needs 84 receptions to join Jimmy Graham 301 as the only tight end in NFL history with at least 300 receptions in their first 4 seasons. Kittle has 216 receptions in his first 3 seasons. Browns wide receiver Jarvis Landry needs at least 80 receptions to become the first NFL player to record at least 80 receptions in each of his first 7 seasons. Landry also needs 102 receptions to surpass Marvin Harrison, who we've mentioned quite frequently throughout this show, for the most receptions to a player's first 7 seasons in NFL history. And by the way, before we continue, this took 2 to 3 hours to type up all these notes in order to have ready for the show. So believe me, I did my homework. Alright, let's continue. Let's not get too distracted. We got quite a few more nuggets I want to throw at you. Colts linebacker Darius Leonard, who I literally love. Darius Leonard, what a fine young man he is. Needs 3 interceptions to become the third linebacker in NFL history with only 10 interceptions for his first 3 NFL seasons. Denver Broncos running back Philip Lindsay needs 1,000 rushing yards to become the first undrafted player since 1967, the beginning of the Common Era, to record at least 1,000 rushing yards in each of his first 3 NFL seasons. Lindsay had 1,037 rushing yards in 2018 and 1,011 rushing yards last season. Lindsay also needs 1,200 scrimmage yards to become the 5th undrafted running back since 1967 to record at least 3 career seasons of 1,200 scrimmage yards. Lindsay had 1,278 scrimmage yards in 2018 and 1,207 scrimmage yards during the 2019 season. Super Bowl 54 MVP and rising phenom Patrick Mahomes, the Kansas City quarterback, needs 34 touchdown passes to become the third quarterback with at least 110 touchdown passes in his first 4 seasons in NFL history, joining Hall of Famers Dan Marino 142 and Kurt Warner 111. Patrick to become the first NFL quarterback in NFL history to reach 10,000 career passing yards in 35 or fewer games. Mahomes entered the 2020 NFL season with 9,412 passing yards in 31 career games. This is Mahomes' 4th season out of Texas Tech, 3rd as a full-time starter. He can also become the first NFL quarterback in league history with at least 4,000 passing yards in 3 of his first 4 NFL seasons. Patrick had at least 4,000 passing yards in each of the last 2 years. Mahomes could become the 4th quarterback, joining legends Peyton Manning, Dan Marino, and current Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson in NFL history with at least 25 touchdown passes in 3 of his first 4 NFL seasons. Mahomes had 50 touchdown passes in 2018 and 26 last season. And by the way, congratulations to Patrick and his girlfriend Brittany, who recently got engaged while the Chiefs were receiving their Super Bowl 54 ring. So Patrick, we are so happy about this, and I wish you and Brittany the best of luck. And if you tie the knot, y'all deserve it. You two are perfect for each other. I can't wait to see what the future holds between the two of you. All right, getting back to the task at hand. Browns quarterback Baker Mayfield, who played at college ball at Oklahoma, of course, Heisman Trophy winner, needs at least 3,500 passing yards to join former Colts quarterback Andrew Luck, who is now retired, as you know. Andrew played his college ball at Stanford from 2012 to 2014. Peyton Manning in his first free NFL season, 1998 through 2000, and Jameis Winston, 2015 to 2017, as the only players with at least 3,500 passing yards in each of their first 3 seasons in NFL history. With at least 3,500 passing yards and 20 touchdown passes, Mayfield will join Luck and Manning as the only player to do so in each of their first 3 seasons in league history. A lot of notes here. Panthers running back Christian McCaffrey needs at least 1,000 receiving and 1,000 rushing yards to become the first player in NFL history to accomplish this feat in multiple seasons. Christian needs also 97 receptions to become the third player in NFL history with 400 receptions through the first 4 seasons, joining Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry. Michael Thomas, 470, and Jarvis Landry, 400 receptions. McCaffrey needs at least 2,000 scrimmage yards to become the 11th player in NFL's league history to record 2,000 scrimmage yards in consecutive seasons. With 1,557 scrimmage yards, he will become the 7th player in NFL history with at least 7,000 scrimmage yards through his first 4 seasons. McCaffrey needs 80 rushing yards and 477 receiving yards to become the first player in NFL history with 3,000 rushing and 3,000 receiving yards in his first 4 seasons. With 6 rushing touchdowns and 5 receiving touchdowns, he will become the first player in the NFL's 100-year history with 30 rushing touchdowns and 20 receiving touchdowns in his first 4 seasons. And Christian McCaffrey, just like Andrew Luck, also played at Stanford. You know who this next player is. Longtime staple Broncos linebacker Von Miller. He's been there for a bit now. Played collegiately at Texas A&M. Been with the Broncos for basically a decade now. And Von, of course, in his most recent past, won Super Bowl 50 MVP as Denver beat Carolina in Super Bowl 50 at Levi Stadium. Von, who's entering his 10th NFL season this year, needs 14 sacks to become the 4th player with 120 sacks in his first 10 NFL seasons since 1982. Von has 106 sacks in his first 9 years. Miller also needs 10 sacks to become the 7th player since 1982 with at least 10 sacks in 8 of his first 10 NFL seasons. Young star Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray can become the 5th quarterback in NFL history with at least 3,500 passing yards and 20 touchdown passes in each of his first 2 seasons. Murray also needs 5,000 rushing yards to become the 4th quarterback since 1970 for at least 500 rushing yards in each of his first 2 seasons. And yes, Kyler Murray, just like Baker Mayfield, another former Heisman Trophy winner as well. Adrian Peterson, who was most recently with the Washington football team before they cut him a few days ago, who is now with the Detroit Lions. He got recently signed with a 1-year deal with them. Needs 1,054 rushing yards to surpass Lions great, of course, Barry Sanders, 15,269 for 4th place in the all-time rushing list. Peterson also needs 13 rushing touchdowns to surpass Raiders legend Marcus Allen, 123 for 3rd place in the all-time rushing touchdown list. Peterson needs 750 more rushing yards to become the 3rd player in league history to accomplish the feat in 11 different seasons at least, joining Cowboys legend Emmitt Smith and a player who is still doing it after all these years, Frank Gore. His son is playing college football now, so think about that. Think how old we're getting. With 5 rushing touchdowns, Adrian will become the 4th player in NFL history to do so in at least 11 different seasons, joining Marcus Allen 13, Evan Smith 12, and the late Bears legend Walter Payton, who of course has a reward that the NFL gives out annually named after him, the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award. 11. Walter Payton, nicknamed Sweet Feet. If you saw Walter Payton play, he was really good. I highly recommend watching Walter Payton tape. Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott, entering 5th NFL season from Mississippi State, could join former Tennessee Volunteer Peyton Manning, 1998 through 2002 with Indianapolis, and former Wisconsin Badgers quarterback Russell Wilson, 2012 through 2016 with Seattle, as the only player with at least 3,000 passing yards and 20 touchdown passes in each of their first 5 seasons in NFL history. Prescott also needs 4 rushing touchdowns and 3 touchdown passes to join Cam Newton, 2011 through 2015, former Auburn Tiger Cam Newton, and another former Heisman Trophy winner at that, as the only players with at least 100 touchdown passes and 25 rushing touchdowns for their first 5 seasons in NFL history. Former longtime Charger quarterback and now Colts quarterback with the, of course, retirement of Andrew Luck, Philip Rivers. He needs 2,091 passing yards to surpass Dan Marino, who we've mentioned quite a great deal during this show, with 61,361 passing yards, for 5th place all-time on the passing yards list. Rivers also needs 24 touchdown passes to surpass Dan Marino, 420 for 5th place all-time on the all-time passing touchdown list. With 60 completed passes, Rivers will surpass Dan Marino, 4,967, for 5th place on the all-time completions list. Rivers needs 4,000 passing yards for his 8th consecutive season, with at least 4,000 passing yards, tied with Peyton Manning for the 3rd longest such streak in NFL history. Packer quarterback Aaron Rodgers, who played collegiately at Cal, this is his 16th year in the league. Remember, he was initially the understudy to Brett Favre before Rodgers got the starting quarterback job in 2008. Aaron Rodgers should have been drafted by San Francisco, but as you know, of course, he got selected for Green Bay. I think that's worked out quite well. Of course, Aaron Rodgers came out the same year that Alex Smith came out as well. And by the way, Alex Smith, it's great to see him back. You know, Alex Smith suffered that gruesome leg injury with Washington a couple seasons ago. 33 years to the day. And with former Washington quarterback Joe Theismann had a career-ending leg injury where he got pinned by then Giants linebacker Lawrence Taylor. So, Alex Smith, you can tell that this guy is tough. And Alex Smith, we're just so appreciative to see him back and healthy. And I can tell you, that injury was not good. So, Alex Smith, go to that. To be where he is, just kudos to him. So, as far as Aaron Rodgers is concerned, let's backtrack a little bit. Aaron Rodgers, the Packers quarterback, needs 3,054 passing yards to become the 11th quarterback in NFL history to reach at least 50,000 career passing yards. Rodgers also needs 3 touchdown passes to surpass former Giants quarterback Eli Manning, who is now retired, for the 7th most career touchdown passes in NFL history. Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger, who's finally healthy after missing basically almost all of last year with injury, needs at least one game with at least 300 passing yards to tie legend Brett Favre, 62 games, for the 7th most career such games in NFL history. Roethlisberger also needs 2 games with at least 300 passing yards to tie Dan Marino. There's another Dan Marino reference. 63 games for the 6th most such games in league history. Roethlisberger, who's entering his 17th NFL season this year, needs at least 1 game with at least 3 touchdown passes to become the 8th quarterback to have at least 50 games with at least 3 touchdown passes in NFL history. Falcon quarterback Matt Ryan, who is one of the Falcons' captains for this season, along with Julio Jones and Deion Jones, the linebacker, and several others, needs at least 4,000 passing yards to join Drew Brees' 12-season span from 2006 to 2017, his first 12 seasons in New Orleans after spending his first 5 NFL seasons with the then San Diego Chargers 2001 through 2005. Drew Brees entered his 20th NFL season out of Purdue. Matt Ryan entering his 13th NFL season out of Boston College as the only player with at least 4,000 passing yards in 10 consecutive seasons in NFL history. Ryan also needs 3,643 passing yards to surpass Peyton Manning 54,828 yards for the most passing yards for a player's first 13 seasons in NFL history. Lions quarterback Matthew Stafford needs 4,149 passing yards to surpass Dan Marino. Again, Dan Marino, we keep mentioning him. We keep peppering him periodically throughout the course of the show. Dan Marino, he was a pretty damn good quarterback. And again, if you haven't seen Walter Payton tape, you should also watch Dan Marino tape too, because Dan Marino, he threw passes with pretty good velocity too. So Walter Payton, Dan Marino, write that down on a piece of paper or something. Those are two players that did the game pretty well. Walter and Dan both gave the NFL so much, and they both played with class and dignity and respect, and they did it the right way. So Stafford needs 4,149 passing yards to surpass Marino for the fourth most passing yards for a player's first 12 NFL seasons. Saints wide receiver Michael Thomas, who we mentioned earlier in our last segment, talking about Bucs Saints Week 1, needs at least 1,000 receiving yards to become the fourth player in NFL history to have 1,000 receiving yards in each of his first 5 seasons, joining Tampa Bay wide receiver Mike Evans, Cincinnati's A.J. Green. Great to see A.J. Green healthy after missing basically all of last year. And, of course, legend Randy Moss. Thomas also needs 100 receptions to become the third player in NFL history to have at least 100 receptions in 4 consecutive seasons, joining Antonio Brown 6 seasons and Marvin Harrison 4. Thomas needs 90 receptions to become the first player in NFL history with at least 90 receptions in each of his first 5 seasons. With 1,273 receiving yards this year, he will surpass Torrey Holt 6,784 receiving yards for the most receiving yards in a player's first 5 seasons in NFL history. Thomas needs 12 receptions to surpass Jarvis Landry 481 receptions for the most receptions in a player's first 5 seasons in NFL history. Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson. Congratulations, Deshaun, on your contract extension this weekend. The 29 touchdown passes to become the 6th player in NFL history with at least 100 touchdown passes in his first 4 seasons. Deshaun Watson, 4th-year man out of Clemson, on a national championship, with head coach Dabo Swinney leading him and crew. Watson also the 21 touchdown pass and the 6th rushing touchdown to become the first player in NFL history with at least 100 passing touchdowns and 20 rushing touchdowns in his first 4 seasons. Our next to last item here in our first segment before we wrap the show up. T.J. Watt of the Steelers needed at least 13 sacks to join Reggie Wright 4 seasons and Derek Thomas Free as the only player to record at least 13 sacks in 3 of the first 4 seasons since 1982. Watt recorded 13 sacks in 2018 and 14.5 sacks last season. And finally, in our segment, number 3, Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson needs 7 more wins to surpass Peyton Manning 92 for the most wins by a quarterback in his first 9 seasons in NFL history. Wilson has won 86 games in his first 8 seasons. Wilson also needs 7 wins to surpass Tom Brady 101 for the most wins, including the playoff, by a quarterback in his first 9 seasons in NFL history. Oh, and this one last item. Some of these are conjoined together. Longtime former Cowboys and now Raider tight end Jason Witten, who actually spent 1 year in our profession doing Monday Night Football a couple years ago, the 60 receptions for 16 career seasons with at least 60 receptions. The second most in NFL history, trailing only Jerry Rice 17. Ritson needs 85 receptions to become the second tight end and 4th player in NFL history with at least 1,300 career receptions. With 23 receiving yards, he will become the second tight end in NFL history with 13,000 receiving yards, joining Hall of Famer Tony Gonzalez, 15,127. And in Tony Gonzalez's case, soon to be Hall of Famer if he isn't already. I think Tony Gonzalez, he has a case of being a Hall of Famer. I believe Tony Gonzalez is in the Hall of Fame. Let me check real quick. Tony Gonzalez is a Hall of Famer, just like I said. He was inducted just last year, in fact. It is great to have Tony Gonzalez a part of our NFL and Fox crew. After spending his first few years in broadcasting with CBS, he's been a terrific addition to our Fox family, and he will continue to be for many years to come. Well, that was a lot of storylines, but as we watch this NFL season, keep those players and these teams that they represent in the back of your mind as these 32 teams are about to lace up their cleats and hit the field to see which team will win Super Bowl 55, which will be held at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida on February 7, 2021. That game will be exclusively seen on CBS, their second Super Bowl telecast, in fact, in 3 years. Well, friends, that is our 2020 NFL season preview show. Thank you so much for watching tonight. Can't wait for next Sunday, where I will see you again to get you ready for Tampa Bay and New Orleans. Can't wait until next Sunday, in which Sundays will be filled with football all day. From the 1 o'clock game through the 4 o'clock games, doubleheader games or not, to Sunday night football, and also you got Thursday night football and Monday night football, Saturday games late in the season also. Our football studio pregame show, Fox NFL Kickoff and Fox NFL Sunday before the Sunday games. We will have you covered as Fox Sports begins the 27th NFL season next week. Please join us for a Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader. Coverage begins with Carissa Thompson, Mike Bick, Dave Wannstedt, Colin Cowherd, Peter Schrager and company with Fox NFL Kickoff at 11 a.m. Eastern. Then please join co-hosts Kurt Menefee and Terry Bradshaw, along with analysts Michael Strahan, Hallie Long, and Jimmy Johnson, who will be working remotely from Florida for Fox NFL Sunday at noon. Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader next week. It begins bright and early at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific with regional action, including Eagles at Washington football team, Packers at Vikings, Bears and Lions, and Seahawks at Falcons, and then later on America's Game of the Week at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, it will be Tampa Bay and New Orleans for most of you. Ours of you will see the defending NFC champion San Francisco 49ers host DeAndre Hopkins and the Arizona Cardinals. And this reminder, the 2020 NFL season begins on Thursday night on NBC at Deshaun Watson and Houston Texans take on Patrick Mahomes and the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. Can't wait for a little bit of normalcy to actually become so once again. So, until next week, Tamir Moore, saying so long and thank you so much for watching. Please follow me on social media for the latest sports updates throughout the fall. You can follow me on Twitter at the Tamir Moore. So, it's capital case T, lowercase 8, lowercase e, uppercase T, lowercase a, M, I, R, uppercase M, 2 O's, both lowercase, lowercase r, lowercase e on Twitter, and then the Tamir Moore on Instagram, all lowercase. Again, reach out to me if you have any questions. If you want to connect with me, I cannot wait to interact with all of you throughout the NFL season. Good night, folks.